Good morning, good evening, Mr. X's class. We're here to talk about the word transport, which is the last word, week 7, quarter 1, English 4. Transport has two meanings. It has a verb meaning and a noun meaning. So the verb meaning we use all over the world, including the United States. The noun meaning is not really used in the United States. It's used in England. British English means in England, like the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Ireland, those countries. I think also Australia, they use British English more than we do. So the verb meaning is to take somebody or something from one place to another, usually in a vehicle. So to take somebody or something, a person or thing, from one place to another. So for example, trucks, camiones, right? Trucks transport goods, things that you sell, mercancía, between cities. Or buses, you could say buses transport people. Or trains, or airplanes, transport people. And that's the action. To transport means to move between one place and another place. Definition 2, in British English, they use transport for the system of carrying people or goods from one place to another. And in American English, we don't say transport. We say transportation, which is listed as a word family here. This is the U.S. for the noun form. So this is what we use in the U.S. We say transportation. So we would talk about, tell me some kinds of public transportation that we have in San Jose. What do we have? The VTA, train. What else? Buses. Magali, what do you think? Buses, trains. Transport is usually, well, transportation is usually we talk about like public, like this transportation system. We often use it with the word public. It goes together, public transportation, and that means like where everybody can, people can pay, and you can. It's like it's not one person's car. It's either a bus or a train or something bigger that many people get on. So we would say public transportation. In England, they would say transport. So here's my sentence with that. London, England has a good system of public transport. That's what they say in England. They call it public transport. We call it, in the U.S., public transportation. Same meaning, but it's just they use different words in different countries. Which is, yeah, and the same thing happens in Spanish. Maybe I shouldn't. I think of a funny example, but it's not really. I'll say it off camera. Okay, so but yeah, there are different words in different countries, in Spanish and in English, right? So this is an example of that. Word families, transportation is a noun, which is actually a synonym for transport, noun, but it's used in the U.S. A transporter, what would that be, do you think? No? What's ER? Ends in ending. No? It's a person, right? Just like in Spanish, héroe. Right?
Like the movie, The Transporter.
Yeah, the movie The Transporter, which is there's a guy who's transporting something illegal like drugs or I don't know, something, right? I think it's a suspense movie. So he transports illegal things for criminals, I think. Right? But a transporter is a person who transports something. Who moves, his or her job is to move things between places. Synonyms for the first definition, move and carry. And the second definition, synonym is transportation. And remember we said, that's the U.S. We use that word in the U.S. And transport is the word that they use in England. This list of words comes from actually New Zealand, which is, in New Zealand they use British English. So that's why maybe it's a few times we get words that we say, well, this is really more British, but well, it's good, it's okay because you learn the American version too. The American version is this, transportation. And you have an example from the card for literature. A Passage to India is a novel about, it's about set in India about 150 years ago. And it's kind of about cultural misunderstandings between Indian people and English people. Because at that time, England controlled India. They were in charge of India. So there's this British man and an Indian man who try to become friends, but it doesn't work out because cultural differences, and also the British are the ones in power over the Indians, and so in the end it kind of falls apart. And that's what the story is. But Aziz is the Indian man. So there's a part in the story where he hires is a British word for rent. He rents an elephant, because at that time you could rent an elephant to transport guests to a cave. So that was and it says, so to move the guests, his guests, the people who are coming to like a party, they all go together, they rent some elephants. Now you can't rent elephants anymore, right? They rent elephants, and they ride the elephants to the cave.
For elephants.
And then elephants were popular forms of upper class, that means rich, transports. British form, transportation, in 19th century India. People used them for transportation.
But it is.
Yes, go ahead.
It is still.
And that's still true. And in India, actually, they're not just transportation; they also work, which is it's, they use elephants to like do construction. They had to like pick up pieces of wood with their trunks and stuff. They're work animals. So, which I mean, they're very intelligent animals, and they probably don't enjoy it very much, you know. But okay.